Right. We'll see Appium architecture. Previously, we have seen Appium, right? Introduction to Appium. What are the advantages, disadvantages? Whoever right don't watch, please go and watch that. Right. Then today's session we will see Appium architecture. How Appium will work. Right. Whenever we will execute the code, right? How internally it will work. Appium is a right. We know it is a client server architecture. There is a client and then server, right? Here if you see observe the just image, whenever we will trigger, right, whenever we will trigger the code, Appium code, try to run it, right? First request will take by Appium clients. If you write right, Appium will support multiple languages, either Java, C Sharp, Python, right? Multiple, right? We can take whatever language it is, those are all clients, Appium clients, right? Then it will interact with the server. Whenever we will execute the code, client will take the request and it will interact with the server. Right, how it will interact, we will write in the Java code, but Appium server is developed in Node.js. Appium server is developed in Node.js. Right, server will not understand that language. Right, suppose if you want to speak with right, different country person, if you don't know the language, right, if you want to speak with any other country person, if you don't know their language, what you will do, you will arrange some mediator who knows both the languages. He will translate. You will explain to him, he will explain to that person, translator. Similarly, here what will happen, whenever client executes the command, internally it will change to REST request. Each command will change to REST request, right? That will interact with the Appium server. Then Appium server will interact with our devices and execute the code on the particular devices. We will see more on this. This is, there is a protocol, right? Previously in 1.x we have a, whenever client right, client, what will happen in the 1.x, it will use a JSON wire protocol, right? It will convert to, every request will convert to JSON, and then that JSON will right, send it to server, JSON wire protocol in the previous versions. But in 2.x they have introduced W3C protocol, right? World Web Consortium protocol. Here we don't require any conversation between the client and the server. Directly W3C protocol will take the request, will send to the server. Will send to the server. We will see more on this right, JSON wire protocol and W3C protocol. JSON wire protocol is the old one, in the older version 1.x. In 2.x they have changed it to W3C protocol. Right, now this is right. Whenever we Appium server, what it will do, Appium server, suppose you are using a right XUI test, right? Appium server will use XUI test driver. Suppose if we are using Appium, Appium means it will take a UI driver, UI automated driver. For Espresso, it will take Espresso driver. Right, Appium will support all these three, right? Espresso, UI automator, XUI test driver. Right, Appium will, whenever I will trigger Android test case, what will happen? It will take, server will take UI automated driver. This driver will interact with the native net UI automator. The driver will interact with the UI automator. UI automator will interact with the mobile. UI automator will interact with the mobile. Right, this is from server to mobile, right, communication. Right, in between there are a drivers. Each Android, iOS, right, Espresso, it will have, each one has a driver. It will talk to the devices. Right. This is a high level Android OS architecture. Whenever we will trigger the script, what will happen? Appium client library will take the request. Appium client library will take the request, and either if it is a 1.x version means JSON wire protocol through JSON wire protocol, or if it is a 2.x W3C, it will send that request to Appium server. Appium server is developed in Node.js. Then Appium server will take and will communicate based on you sent a request from Android or iOS or Espresso. It will corresponding driver it will use. Right, it will transfer the request to corresponding driver. Then that driver will interact with the devices. In middle we can also have a Appium bootstrap driver. We will also have a bootstrap.jar. It will communicate these requests to the apps. Right, this is the high level. Each individual component. This is the iOS architecture. Whenever we will trigger the request, Appium library will take the request and it will transfer to server. Server will transfer to XUIT test or UI automation. If it is a old version means UI automation. UI automation less than iOS version less than 9.3. Or if it is a greater than XUIT test driver. They have modified it as XUIT test. This XUIT test will interact with the device. In between again we have a WebDriver agent. WebDriver agent. Previously we have a bootstrap.js, older version. Now newer versions have a WebDriver agent. What are the different components in the this architecture? First one is a client. Client means what? The test scripts are written in any language. It will support multiple languages, Appium, Java, Python, JavaScript, or other support. Uses Appium client libraries which implement W3C WebDriver. Latest version, all the client libraries will implement W3C protocol. Sends automation commands to the Appium server. This client, what it will do? It will, whenever we will trigger, client library will take the request. It will send it to the server. Commands means what? If you want to enter some text, if you want to click, those are all the things, whatever we will do, actions, those actions it will send to server. Next one is server, the core component of the Appium, which acts as the mediator. Server is the mediator between the client and the device. Server is the mediator between client and the mobile device. Which listens to the commands from the client. Whenever client send some request, I want to click on it. Server will take that, translate into platform specific automation actions. Whichever platform you are using, it will translate understandable. It will change it to understandable language. Platform specific automation actions. Server is implemented using Node.js. Appium server is implemented using Node.js. How to start Appium? Just Appium command. We will see this later. JSON wire protocol W3C. This is the this acts as a bridge between the client and server. JSON wire protocol is the protocol. By using this protocol, we can communicate from client to server. Whenever we will trigger the request, client will take the request by using, if it is a 1.x means JSON wire protocol or 2.x W3C protocol. This protocol will take the request and send to the server. But that means this protocol is the mediator, that will convert client language. It will take whatever client will send. This driver, what it will do, it will translate the commands whatever we will send to understandable language by server. Understandable language by the server. Use it to send automation command in standardized format. Then Appium drivers. Appium supports different types of drivers. Right, UI Automator 2 for Android apps, XCAV test for iOS apps, Espresso for Android UI testing, WinApp driver for Windows application, Mac2 driver for Mac applications. These are the different drivers supported by Appium. Right, then mobile device. Right, last one is either mobile, emulator, simulator. We can use virtual or real devices. The target device where automation test executed can be real device or emulator or simulator. Appium interacts with the device via platform-specific automation framework. Right, if it is Android means UI Automator 2 or Espresso, or for iOS XUIT test it will. Then what is the execution flow? Whenever we will, right, first step is we have to start the server. Right, before if you want to execute, Appium server is the must. Write scripts, then we have to write the scripts in whatever language we are comfortable. Then Appium server process the request. Whenever we will send the request, Appium server will process the request. The server interprets the command, forwards to the corresponding driver. Right, driver interacts with the device. Driver interacts with the device. Right. Response send back to the client. Right, suppose if we observe, right, test script, whenever we will execute Appium client, that is the Appium client will take the request, it will send to server. Server will send it to the device, in between there is a Appium driver. Right, Appium driver, it will interact with the device. Suppose we are executing in the right, Android, whenever we will execute Android script, I want to execute script on Android device. Then Appium client will send request to Appium server. Appium server will interact with the driver. Right, for Android UI Automator 2 is the driver. Then driver will execute commands on the device. Similarly, iOS, right, iOS Appium client will take the request. It will send to the server. Right, here it will come protocol. Right, W3C in between, W3C protocol will come into picture. Client to server, what will happen? W3C protocol will convert from client understandable language to server understandable. Again, server understandable to device understandable. These are the mediators. Right, protocols and these drivers are mediators between the multiple actions. Right, client to server, W3C protocol is the mediator. Server to device, XUIT. For iOS, XUIT is the mediator. For Android, UI Automator 2 is the mediator. Then what is the basic difference, right? W3C protocol, maybe in interview also they can expect some difference we can expect. Right? Right, just okay. Then JSON wire protocol, W3C. In old version we have a JSON wire protocol, now W3C. Right, JSON wire protocol based on Selenium's original WebDriver protocol. It will work on Selenium's original WebDriver protocol. Uses HTTP REST API to communicate with the server. Right, what it means, whenever we will trigger, suppose I am sending a click or enter key, right, enter text, send keys. What it will do? This WebDriver, right, JSON wire protocol will convert that click action into REST API. It will convert into REST API. Then that API will invoke the server. Right, API will invoke the server. Define set of standard endpoints to interact with the browser and mobile automation. There are some standards, right, set of standards, right, to interact with the mobile automation used in older version of Appium. It has some limitations in handling modern automation features. Right, basically JSON wire protocol we will use in the older versions of Appium. Right, whenever client is trying to interact with the server using JSON wire protocol. Internally, this JSON wire protocol, what it will do, it will take the request, it will convert to REST API and then interact with the server, Appium server. Then now 2.x they have upgraded to, they have changed that JSON wire protocol to W3C protocol. Right, this is defined by World Web Consortium. Right, as a standard. As a standard. Already, if you know HTML, right, JavaScript, these are all following W3 standards. Then what is the advantage of, right, if client is following W3 standard, server is following, right, devices, everything is following W3 standards, right, then there must be stability. Right, there must be a stability. See, whenever you are talking directly, you know English, you are talking to other person, he is also know English. Right, then communication happens very smoothly. You can express whatever you want to, right, tell to him very smoothly, understandable way. Right, there is no issues. But if there is a in between, there is a mediator. Suppose what will happen? You can tell to mediator something. Mediator may exactly whatever you tell 100% may not tell to the target person. Right, target person. Right, here also same thing. W3C protocol will not directly all the standards, everything server, client, all are following W3 standards. It's very easy to communication will happen very smoothly, and scripts will be execution scripts will be very reliable. That means not a flaky test cases. What happened? Okay, sorry. Right, whenever we will use a defined by World Web Consortium as a web standard, introduce it to improve reliability and stability of the automation scripts. Right, if all are following W3C protocols, then what will happen? Reliability and stability of the scripts will be more. Reduces inconsistency between the different browsers and platforms. If all platforms are using, right, Android, iOS, W3C protocols, our script, same script will execute on both without any issues. There will be more consistent. Right, removes certain vendor specific extensions that were present in JSON ware protocol. JSON ware protocol uses some vendor specific extensions. Right, but now we don't require those. Right, ensures better compatibility across different platforms. Right, if all are following W3C means we will get more compatibility across all the platforms. Right, a simple differentiation here. Standardization is Selenium based older. This is W3 based, W3C based new standard. Right, reliability is less stable vendor specific issues, more stable across all the platforms. Data handling required conversation between JSON wire protocol and WebDriver. Uses direct communication approach. We don't require any conversation. Right, a conversion between the conversion we don't require. In old version we require a, right, it will convert to JSON. Supported in Appium. Supported in older version, Appium 2.x fully supports the W3C protocol. If you are newly starting means that just start with the latest versions only. Appium 1.x supported both JSON wire and W3C protocol. 2.x only supports W3C. Right, if you want to suppose you have a already existing framework, you can, right, it will support. If you update to latest version of 1.x, it will support both. Now if you don't want, right, any 1.x, right, then you can upgrade to 2.x. It will support only W3C. Then our scripts will become more, we will not see many issues. Right, how to check which protocol is being used in Appium? Right, how we will know whether which protocol is used? Right, if we are using Appium 1.x, you can check the logs. In the logs, we will get the session ID, JSON wire protocol. Session ID means JSON wire protocol. If we are getting like a capabilities object, right, inside a value, right, if we are getting capability object inside a value, that is a W3C protocol. In the logs, by verifying the logs, we can choose that. Right now, JSON wire protocol is outdated. W3C protocol is the standard one. If you are using 2.x, you must use the W3C protocol. W3C protocol provides better stability, compatibility across all the platforms. This is the architecture of the API. Alright, just if you like my way of teaching, just comment it out and subscribe to the channel and enable notification. You will get a notification whenever I will post new video. Right, thanks for watching.